Hi, everybody. This is Evan Langert with the Langert Commercial Group, and today I want to talk to you about relocation clauses in leases. First, let's start with a definition. What is a relocation clause? Well, a relocation clause is a clause in a lease that basically allows a landlord to take a tenant from the space that the tenant leased originally and move that tenant most of the time to any other space within the shopping center or within the building. And these clauses are in almost every lease that I've ever seen, so they are something that we really need to discuss and understand. First, why do landlords want these clauses? Why are they there in the first place? So if you're a tenant, I'm going to ask you to put on your landlord hat for just a couple of minutes. Imagine you're a landlord and you have a tenant that's occupying 5,000 square feet in your office building or your shopping center, it doesn't really matter which. And the space next to them, that's also 5,000 square feet, is vacant. And it just so happens that the space on the other side of them is also 5,000 square feet, and that's vacant. Now, these two 5,000 square foot vacancies are the only vacancies that you have in your whole building or your whole shopping center. Now, another prospective tenant comes to you and says, "Hi, Mr. Landlord or Ms. Landlord, I would love to lease space in your building, but I need 10,000 square feet and you don't have it." Well, if you're the landlord, you say, "Well, I've got 10,000 square feet. I've got 5,000 on the one side of this tenant, and I got 5,000 on the other side of this tenant, but I don't have 10,000 square feet together." So landlords decided to draft into their leases that they would have the ability to move a tenant around. So they could take you, if you're in the middle, and slide you over to one space. That way they've got the 10,000 square feet available to lease to the tenant that wants 10,000 square feet. So that is the most common case by far in which a landlord would look at exercising a relocation clause in a lease. Now let's look at the tenant side of the equation. We know now why a landlord would want a relocation clause in their lease. Why would a tenant not want one? Well, there are some instances where a tenant takes a space in a building or a shopping center and they really don't care. This space is on the second floor is as good as this space on the other side of the building on the fifth floor, and I just want office space. I don't really care where in the center I am. Or in the case of a shopping center, they might look at it and say, every spot in this center is a good spot. There really are no bad spots. If they move me, they move me. But also, just as often, a tenant might have chosen a space for a particular reason. They might have chosen a retail space because it's 2 doors away from the grocery store anchor in the center, and that's going to generate a lot of traffic from them. And being on the far end of the center, especially if it's not easy to see or a lot of people don't go to that far end of the center, well, that's not going to be such a good deal for them. Also, there are office tenants that want to be on the top floor, or they want to be on the first floor, or they love the view from the east side of the building, so they chose the east side of the building, and the view's only really there above the fourth floor, so they want to be on the fourth floor and above. So for all these reasons and more, a tenant really might not want to be relocated. It also is, of course, an upheaval to their business. The new space needs to be fitted out. There has to be moving costs, and you've got to change your address and everything else on your marketing materials and your website. So there is certainly some hassle involved, even if you don't mind being moved. Unfortunately, the vast majority of relocation clauses simply say that the landlord has the right to move the tenant to another space. It doesn't talk about the details of what happens. So you could be a tenant who just spent $500,000 or $800,000 or $1 million fitting out your office space for a law firm, say in an office building with the highest degree and level of finishes, or in a shopping center, maybe it's really a nice high-end restaurant and you just spent a fortune, or a middle of the road or quick service restaurant, but you've just spent a fortune fitting out your space. Well, the relocation clause as it stands does not say that the landlord is going to pay any of the costs to make the new space like the old space. So if the landlord will not take that clause out of the lease, the next thing that you want to do is really twofold. One, you want to make sure that you're not going to be moved to a space that you don't want. For instance, If you're in an office building and you only like the east side of that building because it has a great view and the other sides don't, then require that you can only be moved to somewhere on the east side of the building. If you're a title company or somebody that wants to be on the first floor of the office building, require that it has to be on the first floor, that you're moved to another spot within the first floor. Or if you want to be on the top floor, that it's got to be on the top floor. Or if you're a shopping center tenant, that you won't be more than, say, 5 or 6 shops away from the anchor tenant. Whatever the parameters might be that, or they're individual to each scenario, make sure that they can't move you somewhere where you don't want to be. And the second part of that is, let's just say that we have to recreate space and I spent $500,000 in my space. Well, if the landlord is going to move me, it's because it's a benefit to the landlord to do so. They get to get that 10,000 square foot tenant in there that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten into the project. So if you're going to move me under those circumstances, Mr. or Ms. Landlord, I want you to pay to put the new space in the condition that the old space is in. Put in all the tenant improvements and the things that I have in my old space. And the other thing is, I have a 5,000 square foot space. You can't move me to an 8,000 square foot space and require me to pay rent on an 8,000 square foot space. And then also there are the ancillary costs. What are the costs to change my website? What are my moving costs? What are the costs to change all my marketing materials and things along that line? These are all things that you want to address. As with all of my videos, everything is different. Every situation is different. This is not meant to distribute legal advice or even to distribute brokerage advice to any particular tenant. If you want to discuss your particular situation, please call or email me. My phone number is 443-529-0505. Again, 443-529-0505. The email is elangert@thelangertgroup.com. That's elangert@thelangertgroup.com. Langert is ELAN as in Nathan, GERT as in Thomas. As always, have a great day and God bless you.